Hi everyone and welcome all of you to this special session brought to you by International Tax Academy by Manoj Naudiyal. I am Manoj Naudiyal and today's special session is on United Nations General Assembly Resolution of 22nd of November 2023, that is last Wednesday. This resolution was titled Promotion of Inclusive and Effective International Tax Cooperation at the United Nations. Quite a mouthful, but then this was the title: Promotion of Inclusive and Effective International Tax Cooperation at the United Nations. The resolution was tabled by Nigeria on behalf of the group of African nations, and this resolution was passed by an overwhelming majority of 125 nations in favor of the resolution, 48 nations against the resolution, and 9 nations abstained from the voting. So all the developing nations including India voted in favor of this resolution, and the developed nations including the OECD countries, US, UK, Germany, France, Italy, the developed countries, they voted in opposition to this resolution. But nonetheless, 125 in favor, 48 against, the resolution saw the day it was passed. Now, why this resolution is important? Because this resolution is being hailed as having the potential of making a true beginning, in the sense that it would make international tax regime more inclusive and more effective. So that is why it was all over the news. This was hailed as a major victory for the developing nations, and especially till this point, United Nations, which has hitherto taken a back seat as far as the development of international tax architecture is concerned. So now it is being expected. It's expected that now it would take a more proactive role in the development of the international tax regime. Fine. So that is why I thought that it would be nice to make this small video on this special resolution. Fine. Okay, let's get started. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to read out this resolution to you. It's a short resolution, 5 or 6 pages resolution. I'm not going to read it aloud to you. That is available on the net, all over the net, including LinkedIn. Hundreds of people have shared it on their walls. So I'm not going to read this. What I'm going to do in this special video, I'm going to give you a framework. I'm going to give you an understanding or a different perspective from which you can understand the contents and the outlook behind this resolution. Fine. So this video, I'm going to make it into 3 parts. That is, so you'll say ITC. ITC is International Tax Cooperation, ITC resolution, right? International Tax Cooperation, UNITC, United Nations International Tax Cooperation Resolution. First, I'll tell you the goal of this resolution. Second, I'll tell you the ingredients. And in the third part, the mode or the tool or the mode or the tool or the instrument by which the goal would be achieved. Fine. Mode, tool or instrument to achieve the goal. Fine. So first part is the goal, second part are the ingredients, and third part the mode or the tool or the instrument to achieve the goal. Now, as far as the goal of this resolution is concerned, the goal of the resolution is to make international tax cooperation fully inclusive and more effective. I repeat, the goal of this resolution is to make international tax cooperation fully inclusive and more effective. In fact, let me elaborate it. The goal is to strengthen strengthen international tax cooperation, strengthen international tax cooperation by making it fully inclusive, by making it fully inclusive and more effective, fully inclusive and more effective, both in procedural terms, both in procedural terms, both in procedural terms as well as substantial or substantive terms, substantial terms. Fine. So this is the goal or the theme of the resolution, to strengthen international tax cooperation by making it fully inclusive and more effective, both in procedural terms as well as substantial or substantive terms, right? So this becomes the theme or the goal of this entire resolution, in the light of which, in the context of which, you need to understand the ingredients as well as the tool, right? So this becomes the guiding light. Strengthening of international tax cooperation by making it fully inclusive, more effective in terms of procedure as well as in terms of the substance, right? Now the second part, ingredients. What are the ingredients that go on to achieving this goal, which are required to achieve this goal? Okay, fine, let us rub this one. Ingredients. The first ingredient that is required for achieving this goal is to have a legal basis. Legal basis for what? Legal basis for achieving international tax cooperation. Legal basis for achieving international tax cooperation, right? Second ingredient would be to have a set of clear, consistent, coherent and transparent rules. So you have a set of consistent, coherent and transparent set of rules. Consistent, coherent, transparent set of rules that would achieve the goal, that would strengthen the international tax cooperation. Fine. Third ingredient, respect for tax sovereignty. Respect for tax sovereignty. Very important. Respect for tax sovereignty, especially of the developing countries. What is tax sovereignty? Respect for tax sovereignty means that the developing countries, or rather all the countries, would participate in the rule making, international tax law, international tax rule making process in their own right, as their own right, without any preconditions. All the countries would participate on an equal footing in the international tax rule making process as a matter of their right, without any precondition, and they will also adapt and implement the developed rules as per their needs, their priorities and their capacities. This is the import of having respect for tax sovereignty. Very, very important. Next, importance of tax agenda. Agenda or tax agenda. What do you mean by agenda? See, agenda means identifying and framing a set of tax challenges. Agenda, what is agenda? Agenda, identifying and framing a set of tax challenges. Identifying and framing a set of tax challenges. Those challenges which require a collective action by the international community. Identifying and framing a set of tax challenges that require collective action by the international community. So this becomes tax agenda. Agenda, it's a procedural matter. It's a procedural matter. But then agenda becomes very, very important, because more often than not, setting of the tax agenda that predetermines the scope and the nature of the responses to those challenges. Tax agenda that predetermines the scope and the nature of the responses to tax challenges. So that is why the setting of tax agenda becomes very, very important. Fine. Further ingredient. Then you have capacity building, assistance to the developing countries, capacity building, especially of their revenue administrations, right? Importance of capacity building for achieving international tax cooperation. Fine. Then you also have importance of tax dispute resolution processes. Tax dispute resolution for achieving international tax cooperation. For making it fully inclusive and more effective, you need to have a robust tax dispute prevention and resolution process mechanism. Fine. Very, very important. Right. So these are the various ingredients. Yes, these are the various ingredients that are required if you want to achieve the goal of strengthening international tax cooperation. Now, if you will read the 5-6 pages resolution, then you will find that obviously goal ingredient, you will not find the structure of the resolution in this manner. I'm simply trying to create a framework so that you understand. But then you would find that these various salient points, legal basis, consistent, coherent, transparent rules, tax sovereignty, tax agenda, tax dispute resolution, you would find that these are enlisted as a part of the resolution. Fine. And that the General Assembly is emphasizing upon these key highlights. Fine. So these are the ingredients that go on if you want to achieve the goal of international tax cooperation. Fine. So goal is to strengthen international tax cooperation, making it fully inclusive, more effective. These are the ingredients which go on to achieve the goal. And then how would you achieve the goal? The tool or the instrument by which the goal would be achieved, that becomes the third part. For that I'll rub. Okay, so I'll rub the ingredients. I'll rub this, right? The tool or the instrument to achieve the goal. So the tool and the instrument which is proposed in the resolution that would help in achieving this goal, that is goal of strengthening international tax cooperation, that is creation or development of a United Nations Framework Convention on International Tax Cooperation. United Nations Framework Convention on International Tax Cooperation for strengthening international tax cooperation, for making it fully inclusive and more effective. Fine. So this is the instrument, that is development of a United Nations Framework Convention on International Tax Cooperation, that is being proposed in this resolution. Now, for the purposes of developing this UNFC, an ad hoc special purpose, an ad hoc member nations led ad hoc member nations led open-ended intergovernmental committee is proposed. Intergovernmental committee is proposed. So for developing United Nations Framework Convention on International Tax Cooperation, an ad hoc member nation led open-ended intergovernmental committee is proposed. 20-member committee 20-member committee having balance on geographical representation and gender representation. 20-member committee, balance in terms of geographical representation, gender representation. It would consist of one chairperson, one vice chairperson, and one rapporteur. Fine. And the task or the purpose of this intergovernmental committee is to develop terms of reference. This intergovernmental committee is supposed to develop terms of reference for the United Nations Framework Convention on International Tax Cooperation. Right? So the task of intergovernmental committee is to develop terms of reference for United Nations Framework Convention on International Tax Cooperation. Now, the terms of reference have to be developed by this ad hoc committee, keeping in mind certain key points. What are those key points? Terms of reference. Okay. So terms of reference need to take care of need priorities as well as capacity. Need priority capacity of all the nations, especially developing nations. Right? So terms of reference which would be developed by the Intergovernmental Committee for UNFC, terms of reference need to take care of the need, priority and capacity of the developing nations, especially the developing nations. Fine. Terms of reference, they also have to be developed keeping in mind a holistic and sustainable perspective. Holistic and sustainable perspective, keeping in mind interaction between social issues, social policy areas, economic policy areas, as well as environmental policy areas. So sustainable and holistic basis. Terms of reference, they would also have to take care of making the international tax regime flexible as well as resilient. Flexible plus resilient. Why do you need flexibility? Flexibility is needed because technology, business models and international tax cooperation landscape is evolving, is changing rapidly at a very fast pace. So that is why the terms of reference have to take care of the flexibility, resilient part as well. They have to be resilient and flexible. Fine. Further, okay. Terms of reference, they need to be, oh yes, very important. Terms of reference, they have to, they should leverage the existing synergy. That is, see, we know because the resolution, although it was tabled in United Nations General Assembly, it was passed in United Nations General Assembly, but then the resolution also gives due deference to the recent past, the work done in recent past by different institutions which are working in the field of international tax. For example, OECD's work, that is BEPS related work, inclusive frameworks work, Pillar 1, Pillar 2 work, platform for collaboration on tax, then the work done by United Nations Expert Committee on International Cooperation in Tax Matters, then tax inspectors without borders, financial exchange, common reporting standards. So all the work done in the recent past for the last 5, 6, 10 years, that work has been mentioned. And the terms of reference, they should leverage the synergy, the common ground, the mutuality between the work which is done, and that they should make the terms of reference should leverage the synergy out of the existing work that has been done in the recent past by different agencies, different fora involved in international tax. In addition to this, the terms of reference, they also have to take care of two special purpose protocols, urgent basis. Two protocols which are mentioned here, that these terms of reference have to take care of. These two protocols, the first protocol should take care of minimizing or eliminating tax related illicit flows, tax related illicit financial flows, tax related illicit financial flows, tax related illicit financial flows. Terms of reference, they should take care of tax related illicit financial flows, curbing, completely eliminating tax related illicit financial flows. They should in fact base erosion and profit shifting, aggressive tax avoidance and tax evasion, that has been mentioned as a pressure point in the resolution as well. Fine. So the terms of reference, they should minimize as on an urgent basis protocol illicit financial flows, tax related illicit financial flows. And the second protocol is required for taxation of cross-border services, taxation of cross-border services in the digitalized and globalized economy. So taxation of cross-border services, taxation of cross-border services, especially in the digitalized and the open, digitalized in the globalized economy. Now, with this work, this intergovernmental committee is supposed to finalize the work by August next year, and this terms of reference should be tabled. It is expected that the terms of reference would be, draft terms of reference would be tabled in front of the United Nations General Assembly meet in the 79th session that would be held next year. Fine. So this was the framework of this special purpose resolution that is expected, that it would strengthen international tax cooperation and it would make it more fully inclusive and more effective. So goal, strengthening international tax cooperation, making it fully inclusive and more effective in procedural as well as substantive terms. Ingredients I've told you, and then the tool or the instrument. So what can be expected? In the near future, you can expect a United Nations Framework Convention on International Tax Cooperation. For that, obviously, you will have a terms of reference drafted by this ad hoc intergovernmental committee. Fine. Hailed as this resolution was hailed as marking the beginning of a fully inclusive and member state led international tax regime. I have high hopes for this, and let's keep our fingers crossed that this would truly usher in a more inclusive and fully effective international tax architecture in the near future. Fine. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you would have understood the gist, perspective and the content of this resolution. And thank you so much for watching. Do tune in for further updates, and till next time, thank you so much.